Chapter 245 of Jujutsu Kaisen starts off with the continuation of the fight between Uraume and Hikari, our favourite gambler. And it's changing up the pacing, so we're not straight away seeing what happened with Higuruma using his domain expansion on SUKUNA. Now, before we continue, as always, please like and subscribe. It really helps this small channel grow, and I really appreciate all of your support. And also, I've made a Patreon, and it's in the description below. Support me if you'd like. Now, the first page shows Uraume and Hikari still in the air after his domain expansion broke. And whilst Uraume complains about being separated from SUKUNA, they use their Frost Khan technique, creating a large boulder formation of ice. It's explained that this technique strikes an area with cursed energy in a super cool state, freezing anything it touches. And Hikari is caught in that area, which traps the right side of his body in ice. Uraume then goes in for a strike, shattering that ice. It also shatters Hikari's arm to pieces, and whilst Uraume gloats that this fight is now over and ready to go in for another attack, Hikari's hand, suddenly healed, reaches for Uraume. He grabs their face and plunges them into a building, destroying it. But Uraume prepares for another strike, creating an ice spear. Uraume comments on how fast Hikari's regenerative speed is, and surprisingly compares it to both Sukuna and Gojo, saying in only regeneration, Hikari surpasses both of them. Which is a massive moment. My boy Hikari is getting the recognition he deserves. Uraume then throws the ice spear, which tears out a chunk from Hikari's torso. But he heals almost immediately, which surprises Uraume even further. They trade some blows, and Uraume tries to freeze Hikari's leg, but unfazed, he just slips out of his shoe and absolutely decks Uraume Takaba style, sending Uraume flying through the multiple buildings. Hikari finds the shoe and Uraume returns, saying they see him different now. Most sorcerers try to latch onto their humanity, which makes them refrain from using their full power, further making them weak. They then burst the water pipes, creating a downpour on top of both of them, and continues talking, saying that Hikari is different and it doesn't consider him human anymore. So will now crush him with everything they have. However, Hikari, the badass he is, simply asks if humanity is the trending thing now, and thinks back to Yuta, who, being the gloomy type, would say stuff like that. But yeah, Hikari still respects him, because when push comes to shove, Yuta always steps up. He then shouts that he's been feeling hot, and asks Uraume to bring on the cold, providing us with another Hikari approved spicy one-liner. But with this scene now over, we move on to what everybody has been waiting for, Higuruma's Judge Judy episode. And it starts off with the judge reiterating what we know from the last chapter, that Yuji stands accused of the Shibuya incident. But Higuruma changes that focus to be on Sukuna himself, who is the real culprit, being the mass murderer. He continues to explain that the judgment knows everything about a person in the domain, but doesn't disclose it to Higuruma himself, making the verdict depend solely on the arguments. Higuruma then thinks to himself that the evidence he has must be about the despicable things Sukuna did in Itadori, and since Yuji wouldn't have been able to commit the crime without Sukuna anyway, and if Sukuna's testimony isn't about liability or an insanity play, they have a good chance at winning. Higuruma continues explaining the rules, but to everyone's surprise, Sukuna interrupts him. And can you guess what he does? I can guarantee that amongst all the theories we had of Sukuna surviving the trial, genuinely almost no one got this. Does he do an insanity play? Does he get Mahoraga to take the bar exam and adapt to the Japanese legal system? Does he state that you can't do executions in Japan on public holidays like Christmas? Which was my personal favorite one. No, he states that he's only interested in the sword, doesn't care what he did or when, and asks the judge just to get it over with, causing an immediate guilty verdict and both confiscation and the death penalty, leading to just a wicked smile from Sukuna. The domain immediately disappears and Higuruma's gavel flashes a bright light, leading to Sukuna eyeing it up and smiling once again. Higuruma then dons the executioner's sword and thinks to himself that there should be a high possibility of the confiscation affecting Malevolent Shrine, since he believes Sukuna might not be able to use Ten Shadows anymore, and that they'll have to seize that chance in order to kill Sukuna. Just then, more sorcerers join the battle, including Kusakabe and our boy Choso, and Ino, who is alive, but probably not for long. Higuruma then suddenly gets a flash memory of someone asking him if he wants to die, and he seems to realize something. Something terrible has happened, and it's been noticed by two people, himself and Sukuna. Their chance of success is now gone, and Sukuna releases a barrage of unconfiscated slashing attacks towards the group. It immediately hits him and Kusakabe, who rushed in to protect Higuruma, and we learn that the target of confiscation was not Sukuna's technique, it was the cursed tool he was carrying. The worst case scenario happened, and unfortunately the chapter ends on this cliffhanger. And what an unexpected chapter. I mean, quickly going back to Uraume v Hikari, it's awesome to learn that from a perspective of someone who is close to Sukuna and was packed up by Gojo pretty quickly, Hikari's healing abilities are even better than those two monsters. But the biggest reveal was how cold and careless Sukuna was in Higuruma's domain, completely accepting the fate of the death penalty in order to see the executioner's sword, of which he has a very particular interest in, and knowing Sukuna, whatever he has an interest in doesn't particularly turn out well for the heroes of the story. Megami. I'd also like to clear up some misconceptions I've heard online about this whole situation. Yes, Sukuna does have some wild plot armor, and he seems to survive everything, but that is kind of the point. Wanting the trial to be over and getting the death penalty straight away because he's interested in some one-hit kill sword is totally in character for him. And the curse technique on the tool getting confiscated instead of Sukuna's own technique may seem like an ass pull by Gege, but since the domain is stated to purposely take the technique of cursed tools first, then it is the complete oversight of Higuruma. I mean, technically he's only been a sorcerer for 2 months and has little to no battle experience. His growth is insane, but his experience is lacking, so it is completely feasible he'd make a mistake like this. Overall, this chapter was incredible, and I'm so excited to see the next one. But it's coming to the end of this video, and I just wanted to say thank you so much for watching. I'm really happy you stopped by to watch my video. My channel is steadily growing, and I'm amazed at the support I'm getting. And I also have a Patreon now, so feel free to support me however you like. The link will be in the description, and I'll shout out names at the end of each video. Thank you again, please like and subscribe, it really helps me out, and I'll see you all in the next video.